And with the storm, we have winds that extend 366 miles away from the center of it. And that means many are going to be impacted by it away from the center, where it will likely make landfall late this evening along the Big Bend, similar in location with Idalia, but with such a large storm and powerful winds and a fast forward speed, that's going to bring life-threatening storm surge all along the Gulf Coast, extended inland. So flooding is going to be a big issue. And then we have the wind field, which is only going to continue northward in Georgia. They're going to have potential for tropical storm force winds well into Georgia. In fact, hurricane warnings are in effect in central parts of Georgia. But the rainfall, it's only going to continue. The secondary thing is there's just so much rain that's going to fall down, and especially into the Appalachian Mountains. The big concern is for landslides and flash flooding, and that will continue through the night and into Friday morning, where we'll have to watch for that potential for flooding all across the southeast.
Okay, meteorologist Ian Cassette, thanks so much. As Helene presses north, flooding is inundating Florida's Gulf Coast. Spectrum's Angie Angers is in Crystal River this afternoon. That's where streets are closed and businesses are boarded up. Angie, what's the latest where you are? What can you tell us?
Hi, Josh. We saw some members of the Crystal River Police Department shutting down some of the roads here that surround Kings Bay, which is going to be the source of where a lot of that storm surge is expected to come from. Now, we have passed that morning high tide mark here in Crystal River, approaching low tide, but it's the high tide that's happening late tonight is the one that's really the big concern for residents here, because that will be the one that's coinciding with that storm surge late afternoon and into those evening hours. So we caught up with some residents, some business owners who are doing those final preparations and racing to get out of town.
At the marketplace at Manatee Springs, just east of US 19, they're taking a 3-layer approach in hopes of keeping the storm surge out. First, this team of helpers sealed the cracks in the doors with Gorilla Tape, then put a layer of plywood sealed with silicone over the glass. The last step, tarps and sandbags. Owner Fernando Mejia says they flooded during Hurricane Idalia, and because of that, he lost some of his tenants. Every time this happens, he estimates the damage sets him back about a year.
We probably should have been finished by now, but been able to get some help that they're familiar with some preparing for hurricanes and floods and everything like that. So we're just really learning as we go.
Much of Crystal River is under an evacuation order, and in historic downtown that sits just 3 to 5 feet above sea level, shop owners and residents have done everything they can to keep the water out. Some businesses got water in them last hurricane, and that memory is still fresh.
Idalia, we received in the city a little over 7 foot, around 7.2 foot of storm surge from Idalia. The maximum projections that we're seeing right now from this storm are between 10 and 15 feet, and so those are catastrophic numbers for Crystal River.
And officials here in Crystal River say there's about 100 members of the National Guard on standby should they need to be activated. Also, multiple power crews in the area, people ready to just jump in and help people recover should that happen. The fire department has also been relocated to an area just outside of where the floodwaters usually reach. Josh.
Angie Angers for us in Crystal River, Florida. Thanks so much, and please stay safe. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is facing 5 federal charges. His indictment was unsealed this morning, adding to his administration's turmoil. Spectrum News anchor Robert Guadarrama joins me. And Robert, the mayor is accused of taking money from Turkey. Is that correct?
Josh, that is right. And this allegedly all began back in 2014. The mayor is accused of soliciting and taking illegal campaign contributions from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him, which the Turkish official later cashed in on. The indictment out of the Southern District of New York is a result of a year-long investigation. The 5 counts include bribery, accepting illegal campaign contributions from foreign sources, and wire fraud. Adams is accused of continuing the actions for his re-election campaign in 2021. The wire fraud count is in relation to the donations coming from straw contributions, which are concealed contributions made made to appear they're coming from American donors, but are really coming from illegal sources. The indictment also lays out the mayor benefited from luxury travel and other gifts and failed to disclose those. The conspiracy count referring to the concealing of the campaign contributions and the wire fraud. And lastly, the bribery count involves the cashing in of the donations, in which the Turkish official pressured Adams to facilitate the opening of a new Turkish consular building in New York City without a fire inspection ahead of the visit from the Turkish president. The indictment indicates the building would not have passed the fire inspection. Adams complied, according to prosecutors. And Josh, the mayor is the first sitting mayor of New York City to face criminal charges.
Wow, a lot there. Yeah. How is he responding to this? Yeah,
the mayor actually spoke right when the indictment was released. Let's go and listen.
From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do.
Amen.
Amen. And the 300,000 plus employees of our city government will continue to do their jobs, because this is what we do as New Yorkers.
So as you heard there, despite lots of calls for the mayor to step down, he plans to stay in his position.
Okay, my colleague Robert Guadarrama, thanks so much.
You bet.
Israel again steps up strikes in Lebanon, claiming it is targeting Hezbollah terrorists. We're following the developments straight ahead.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
Your small business has unlimited potential. Spectrum Business is built to connect you with that potential. With Spectrum One for Business, you get fast internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a mobile line with award-winning multi-layered security to defend all your devices. If it's connected, it's protected. And we're committed to keeping you connected 100% of the time. Connect your business to unlimited potential for only $49.99 per month.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
I'm meteorologist Ian Cassette with your weather on the ones. Hurricane Helene is officially a major hurricane, and it is a dangerous.
Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Taz. While you're watching a Spectrum News special report, it's now 4:41 in New York, where former President Donald Trump is holding a news conference. Let's listen.
The architect of this destruction is Kamala Harris. When you look at the 4 years that have taken place after being named border czar, Kamala Harris will be visiting the southern border that she has completely destroyed, from what I understand, tomorrow. Why would she go to the border now? playing right into the hand of her opponent. I mean, you take a look at this. Why would you do that? There can be no justification.
All right, looks like we are just losing our connection here. You were just listening to former President Donald Trump at a news conference in a very short time that we had him up there, hoping to get him back. He was talking about Kamala Harris, calling her the border czar. So if we can get that up, we might bring that back to you shortly. You are watching Spectrum News. Actually, if we can, you know what? We have Taylor Papalars and Alex Cohen here. Alex and Taylor, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
You know, we kind of went into this news conference not really knowing exactly what to expect, and he just jumped right in with Kamala Harris calling her the border czar, and she's supposed to be the border tomorrow. What are your takeaways from that in the very short time that we heard from him?
Well, Sharon, I think what's interesting is we've seen over the last few weeks Trump will call these kind of impromptu press appearances. And I say appearances because sometimes they're billed as press conferences, and he does actually take questions from the members of the press who are there. Other times he's come out and spoken for as long as 45 minutes, almost an hour, and then does not take any questions and steps away. So that's not a press conference. But as you highlighted, with Vice President Harris set to visit the border tomorrow, I think this was in many ways Trump's opportunity to try to counter-program and deliver a bit of a pre-buttal, because he's been campaigning hard on the topic of immigration, and his campaign feels that along with the economy, are their two winning issues. So I think he wanted to use this opportunity while he's in New York right now, no other campaign events scheduled today, to criticize Harris over how she's overseen the border as vice president over the last 3.5 years, and to try to get his word in before she heads to Arizona.
You know what, Alex, we just heard from Vice President Kamala Harris and also Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House just about an hour ago. You know, yesterday Trump held a rally in North Carolina, and he calls Zelensky a man who refuses to make a deal to end the war. What are your takes on that? I don't know if he was going to discuss that today or not.
It will be interesting to see if, in fact, the former president does go into that terrain. As Taylor just mentioned, you kind of never know with Donald Trump, who I believe we might have back now. Perhaps we can take a listen.
200 miles of wall, far more than I promised in the election. She suspended all deportations. She instituted catch and release across the entire southern border. And we had catch and release also, but we released in Mexico. Her catch and release was to release in the United States and never see them again. She sent Congress a bill demanding amnesty for all illegal aliens, every single illegal alien, even if they're criminals, even if they're murderers, even if they're drug dealers, human traffickers. She wanted amnesty for everybody. Radical left. This is a radical left person. She terminated Remain in Mexico, something that took me and a lot of talent, a lot of other people, but it took a lot of talent to get from the president of Mexico, a good man. But we got it. You had to remain in Mexico. You couldn't come in under any circumstance. You weren't allowed into the United States until we checked it out, and many people did not come in and were not allowed to come in because they didn't check out. They were drug dealers, they were gang members, they were in jail for murder in a couple of cases. We wouldn't let them in. And she canceled every Safe Third agreement. Anybody here, I think, would know what that is, but that was a horrible thing that she did. And she canceled Remain in Mexico. Here we have something, Remain in Mexico. You don't have to explain it. She canceled. She ordered ICE to halt the removal of virtually all criminal aliens, including MS-13 gang members, the worst gang anywhere in the world, they say. Evil, evil gang. She ended all of our programs that we instituted to stop child and woman trafficking. The trafficking is at a level now that it's never been before. I had it down to the lowest level it's been in 32 years because we had such a strong border. They couldn't get through. But now it's the worst it's been.
All right, so here we are again. We just lost former President Donald Trump. Again, he was talking about Vice President Kamala Harris, calling her the border czar and also a radical person. All right, so Taylor, I'm going to go to you first before I go to Alex. Kind of what we were expecting to hear. A lot of times he's always focusing on exactly what the vice president is, what he thinks is not doing right.
Yeah, that's right. And as we were saying, but right before his signal popped back in, the Trump campaign has put a lot of eggs in the basket of immigration because they feel that it's something that the former president can win on this fall. What's notable is that the Biden-Harris administration that's in office right now put in place that executive order, I believe it was a couple of months ago, to really tamp down on the number of illegal border crossings. And that executive order, because Congress wasn't able to figure out a bipartisan deal, in large part because Trump said he didn't want them to pass it and Republicans obliged, the executive order has worked, and border crossings illegally at the southern border are down significantly. I believe we have him back. I'm not sure if we're going to dive back in.
No, she was the worst in history.
Oh, okay. They said keep talking. So what's interesting there is the Trump campaign has been trying to figure out how to continuously, effectively message on immigration, even though the numbers are going down, similar to the levels they were at when Donald Trump himself was in office. So kind of this rallying cry that he had and was able to take advantage of earlier this year has gone away. And his campaign, I think we're seeing them play out in real time right now, him trying to talk about why he was better on the border than Biden and Harris have been, and what Harris would be if she were to be elected. But they're kind of trying to figure this out now because of that executive order.
All right, so Alex Cohen, I want to go ahead and bring you back in. So let's talk about Kamala Harris and her time in California and her track record when it came to not being soft on crime.
Yeah, I think we hear it over and over again, and I think it's what probably the former president is saying right now. You know, she had 4 years to do all of this on the border. Why hasn't she cracked down before? And his team and his campaign really likes to paint the vice president as someone who's been very soft on crime. That said, when you actually go back and look at the political track record of the vice president when she served first as district attorney in San Francisco and later as the state attorney's general, it was not exactly that clear-cut by any means. And in fact, she took a lot of flack from the left here in California, which is a rather sizable group, for not being more liberal when it comes to criminal justice reform and immigration. I think what's very interesting, if you compare and contrast, you know, it's very easy for Donald Trump to say, if she were vice president, why hasn't she done X, Y, and Z, especially on things like immigration all along? But as most folks know, the vice president does not have the same levels of authority as the president. And also, during 4 years that he was president, Donald Trump had a lot of opportunities to completely overhaul immigration. That's not exactly what he did.
All right, Alex Cohen and Taylor Popolars, thank you both for your time and your political expertise, and thank you at home for watching. I'm Sharon Tazwell. More news right now on Spectrum News.
I'm meteorologist Ian Cassette with your weather on the ones. Hurricane Helene is going to be an historic storm, not just because of the impact it's going to have to Florida, where we are going to see a major hurricane make landfall along the Big Bend, but the heavy rain that it will continue to bring along the Carolinas and the southeast. And already many parts picking up over a half foot to some spots a foot of rain, with more rain on the way. We could even pick up an additional foot of rain in some of the mountains, which are going to be a big issue throughout the night and into Friday. So the timeline, it's going to make landfall late this evening, then push inland into Georgia as a strong tropical storm. It will lead to big winds, power outages, and heavy rain. That's only going to continue in areas that are inundated with rain. So up into the Carolinas, far western Carolinas,